We'll just shake hands. That'll be it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, I got a live one here. Oh, there'll be a hot time in the old town tonight. Antoine got a little hot under the collar.
You're crazy.
Had you ever heard of the healing power of laughter?
Oh, that's unsettling. Okay. So hopefully it doesn't record like my mouse cursor going all over the fucking place. I have it over there now because I didn't trust it.
Keep it on that side.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna get it started. I'm gonna start with the intro, and we'll go from there. Okay. All right, I'm gonna count myself down and take a swig. Because
Why are you nervous? This is the shit you came up with.
I'm not in.
There's a reason I'm behind the camera.
I don't go in front of a camera, whether
you
it be
chose
webcam or not. Okay, originally it was supposed to be the pumpkin. It wasn't supposed to be.
Well, then I think we should
us.
put on a mask now.
Yeah. Put on a mask. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Kill of the Week, the show where we talk about different film kills and how they've been done, and the people who worked on them, and how they affected us, and why we love them so much. So I'm your host, Brandon, along with my wife and partner, Jill. We're part of Jerks Productions, and today we're going to be talking with Jim Cannatelli. I keep fucking it up, and I'm not trying to, so sorry. We're sitting here with Jim Cannatelli, artist, comic book writer, filmmaker, and everything like that. So, Jim, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Hello. So I'm Jim, and I'm a filmmaker and comic book artist. I live in the Wilmington, Delaware area, and so I've recently finished my first feature film called X Night: Escape from Warpel, which is based off my own original comic book series about a gothic superhero named X Night. And in the movie, he fights demons in this purgatory realm known as Warpel, and so yeah, it's the newest project I've done. It's available to watch on Tubi, and I've been making the comics since 2015. So and just going to various comic book conventions. My character's heavily influenced from Tim Burton's Batman, as well as like Sam Raimi's Darkman, The Shadow, a lot of that sort of thing. Outside of that, I've made some short films. I'm also an actor. I acted in a horror movie called Slaughter Beach, where I played the slasher villain. And I'm a big fan of horror movies. So I was asked to pick a favorite kill scene. I thought of like kills from horror movies, but then I thought of one from my favorite movie, Batman. I thought like, you know what? Can't beat the Joker. Because in many ways, like he, on paper, he could be a horror movie villain. I mean, the character was inspired from an old silent movie, the Man Who Laughs, the Permanent Grin. So it's always been roots in horror.
Yeah, he's definitely associated as a horror character, and with between him and Scarecrow when it comes to Batman villains. The two of them really bring that element of terror, whether it be psychological or physical kind of terror that they bring on to people. And with all that said, and Batman being obviously brought up, our kill today is the Joy Buzzer kill from Batman 1989. And we all know that film was directed by Tim Burton. It was written by Sam Hamm and Warren. I'm going to butcher his last name, Scarron, I believe it's pronounced. I'm not 100% sure. It was based off of the characters from Bob Kane in the comic books back in the day. Just taking a look at the effects crew that put everything together, there's way too many of them to count. Like that list just went on, and that's what happens, I guess, when you get. Ooh, excuse me. I guess that's what happens when you get like big Hollywood, production and budget. Your effects crew is outnumbers everything else. So Jim, why don't you tell us like why you chose that one? Why is that like your favorite kill that you chose to pick for the episode tonight?
So it's my favorite kill. Obviously, growing up as a comic book fan, Jack Nicholson's portrayal of Joker, and there's been countless performances, various actors who portrayed him, but and each of them did a unique portrayal. But for me, Nicholson's like the quintessential version because he really captured the character from the comic books. He's zany, he's quirky, but he's also like has a really dark sense of humor, and he does the horrible things he does not for any like pretentious messages or anything like that, but because he thinks it's funny, because he's just a screwed up individual who has just a really dark sense of humor. And Nicholson's portrayal, his Joker doesn't have like a tragic backstory. He was just always this rotten, vile person. Like he was a ruthless gangster before he was the Joker, and then once he got the makeup, he was like just even more insane. And so when he's the scene of like he's in this room full of mobsters, and it's like, all right, these are a bunch of tough guys, and there's this like smiling guy at the front of the table, and like none of them are flinching or anything. They're like, who is this this clown? And Joker just owns the room by just killing one of the head mob bosses with a electric hand buzzer. And he doesn't use a knife or a gun or anything grounded in reality. It's very much a comic book kill that he would have done in the comics. It balances of the quirky comic book style, but also just this horrific death, because he reduces this guy to a charred corpse, and that alone is like perfect. But it doesn't end there. After he scares the other mobsters away, Joker's just alone with this burning charred corpse, and he's talking to it.
Yeah. I'm glad you're dead. Like that scene alone, when he's like in that room, is probably some of the best Joker lines done in a span of 3 minutes. That whole scene was with him. Like bringing up the like, oh, like what's with that stupid grin? Oh, life's been good to me, and it's just like one after another. And
Yes.
yeah, I agree. Like it had a very big impact of how he wanted to be established as a mob boss and things like that, which I thought was good.
Well, I just like the way that they shot it, that they get a close up of every single mob boss, and you hear them talking, you see who they're talking to, but you don't actually get that reveal of the Joker until you just turn around and see who the fuck they're talking to, and you can see this wild ass face smiling at you, and it's just he's absolutely my favorite Joker of all the movies as well, and it's just perfect. The whole thing is like everything about it is obnoxious, and it's obnoxious as the Joker, it's obnoxious as Jack Nicholson. It's just perfect in every way. Like it's just the best casting for his version of like every Joker that we've seen is such a different side of the Joker character, and the casting was always perfect. I can't imagine Jack Nicholson being, the Dark Knight, Heath Ledger version, and the grunginess, like
No.
his pristine, obnoxious nature. Yeah, he has the prosthetics, but he has so much emotion, even with having his face, stuck in that makeup. And it's perfect.
It's the eyes. It's the fucking
Well, it's also
eyes.
he has to me the most iconic laugh of the
Oh
Joker.
yeah.
Especially when he dies at the end, you just hear it like on repeat.
Yeah.
It's just fucking perfect.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's funny too, because like right after he chars what is it, Rotelli? Is the guy's name, the mob boss's name? After he chars him, and like I felt like the scene went on longer than it was probably supposed to. That after like everyone leaves and everything like that, and he does that goofy like laugh afterwards. I felt like that was him trying to break character and not realizing that no one called cut. Like that was him trying to like get it out to be like, okay, like we're done the scene, right? Because right after that is when it does the hard cut to, because it's right after Bob leaves, and it does the hard cut to just the dummy of the skeleton, and like I felt like it just went on too long, and they just left it in there because they thought it was goofy.
I imagine it's kind of like how people spoke of working with Robin Williams. Like you just let them be as they are.
Mhm.
You hire someone in that case, and you want them to be themselves. Like here's the main points you have to hit, and otherwise go crazy. And
Yeah,
he just did it. It was perfect. Like the kill is right on point. Like you're right. He didn't use a knife. He didn't use a gun. Like his kill is exactly who he is, exactly what you'd expect. And it's just it falls in line. They really stayed true to who he was as a character, and it just it was perfect. Like oh, that's all I can say. It's just perfect. Like the whole thing, like the whole movie is just magical
They
yeah.
to me.
No,
I
it's a
love
lot
it.
of fun.
they definitely capture the comic book essence of him. And
Yeah.
no offense to like Heath Ledger and all the other guys, but like he had a bunch of knives and guns, and it's like okay, but that's not really Joker. That's just some asshole with you know, clown
And
makeup.
I feel like that's more like kind of like in the realm of like Ninja Turtles, where like every version is hitting for a different audience. And it's
Yeah,
kind of like we had ours. That I have mine. I don't need any other ones. Like Heath was great. I love him, but that's not my like how you say it's not your Evil Dead for the new one.
Yes.
Like those aren't my Batman. Like this is my Batman. Like this and like Jim Carrey's the Riddler. Like those are my Batmans. Those are the universes
Fair,
that I live
yeah.
in, and I'm good. I don't need more. Like I love the universe. I'm good. I have what I need. My favorite thing of the entire movie is him wiping away his makeup and seeing the white underneath. Is just my favorite. To that quick, and then he does it again later, and it's like Brandon and I talked about at different points, and we
Yeah.
saw it from two different perspectives. Is why I love it. Is that you thought he was putting on
I
the
thought he was putting it
you
on.
thought he
I
was
thought he
putting it
had
on
the handkerchief and like dabbing it
yeah.
on.
And I took it as he's
He's
taking all
wiping it
like
away.
the idea that he is the white makeup is who he is and everything else
Mhm.
is a mask, like is a mask. So the idea of every other villain we see in the universe, or not even just Batman, but most worlds as you see a villain, they're wearing a physical mask or a metaphorical mask, and he's literally wiping off his human makeup and his white is underneath. And I
Yeah.
fucking loved
Yeah,
it.
because
It
the,
was
the
like,
the vat
yeah,
chemicals dyed
yeah
him. Yeah.
and it's just perfect. Like, especially even just that idea of like those types of movies where you can watch it multiple times and get something else. So like you took it one way, I took it another. I don't know if
Yeah.
we've ever actually researched which one was right, but I
No,
just like
I think you're right. I think it's him wiping away makeup because when he was in another scene when he's with Vicky Vale
yeah,
and she splashes him with the thing, it's also
yeah,
running. So no, your way is
okay,
absolutely
I
correct.
love it.
And the way that I saw it was I'm applying the makeup now.
No, I think it's perfect. The
And
idea
it's
that you're
yeah.
putting your mask on as in your regular
Mhm.
traditional skin tone is the mask is perfect. Because
The-
imagine if like because that's where I guess like the other movies like with Heath Ledger and all like he's sitting there and he's constantly in the full
mhm.
makeup. Besides when Heath was blending in as a cop, he's constantly like in his
In
own
the
makeup. So
makeup,
in this
yeah.
case, it's like what how would the scene been different if he's sitting with all the mob bosses with the white face on? Because he already had the purple suit. So like
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
funny. Like he's kind of like trying to blend in and hide in plain sight, but not completely because he's not exactly like wearing a black suit. He's wearing a
He's wearing his
neon
purple
purple.
suit. And like that
Dark.
scene, correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't uh we'll get into me rewatching it in a little bit, but that scene when he kills Ratelli happens that's what, like right after the mirror. It's like right after he smashes the mirror scene, right? So it's like right after he realizes
Ye-
how fucked up he is.
well, we do see him in the Joker makeup before that when he kills Grissom, his
Oh,
mom.
true.
So yeah, so we do see him in the actual Joker makeup, and then the scene after that is Alicia, the girlfriend, coming home, and she sees Jack in the makeup, and she faints, and then it
Faints,
cuts to
yeah.
the mobster scene.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah, I was trying to remember the line of
It was,
where it was that we would see him not in the makeup yet as like the reveal, but no,
yeah.
he was already revealed.
It's
That's right.
still it's still a great like juxtaposition. It's a great effect, like going from the two reveal shots of the Joker, then to the mobster scene where he's got this tan like makeup applied. It's like, wait, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like I could see him in
Yeah.
'89, like comic book fans being confused, like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I
Oh,
love it though. I think it's perfect 'cause it makes you question and then that reveal of the white underneath, it starts like it shows you a completely different side of the Joker that we've never seen before. Like which is the makeup, which is the mask,
Yeah.
and like kind of plays that conversation where you like I like the movies where you have to go back and you want to rewatch again. Like, let me rewind that and see what I just saw. Like, did that just happen? And you watch it again, and like that effect was just such a simple effect. I think that there might not even be that much that's been spoken about it because there's so many different kills in the Batman universe. This might just be one that just like I love the fact that there are some kills that just kind of blend in, and we're just like, I
Yeah.
don't want to say blend in, but just like they're just another kill, but then they're the ones that we latch onto because they're not always the ones that they talk about. It's like the weird ones. Like I'm always fascinated with what's hiding in the dark versus
Mhm.
the monster you actually see, and like this is so on point that you don't question it, but that's why it's perfect because it just fits.
Yeah, I
You know,
think
because
when
if he did pull out a gun, like it would make sense to the mobster feel, but then it's just
yeah, well,
you know
he had to make a statement. You know,
exactly
this is who I am. I'm this guy. You
with
know,
that power.
like oh, we got a hot one here. You know, you got to
Yeah.
make that presence known.
I'm in the whole town tonight.
Yeah, and then,
Oh,
like
I did
when I
look.
was recent. Oh
I
God,
did
sorry.
look- Oh, I did look up. His makeup artist was Nick Dudman.
Okay, Nick
Okay.
Duggan. Okay,
I've seen the makeup, like the effects of it, of excuse me, the behind the scenes of like showing the pieces. Like I'm always amazed with like the process of how they finalize the makeup and the different versions of like how they must have gone from maybe like too big or too small and the back and
Mhm.
forth and how they just land on just enough of that face. And it's
Yeah,
just such an obnoxious face that like someone's like, yep, that's right. Like we're just gonna like that's it. Cause
and
that's
like
why I love every version of like Heath Ledger's version that's very like cut in and very
yeah,
brutal looking, and his is just like, what the fuck happened to this guy? Like
yeah.
it's just
It's,
batshit crazy
especially
and it's
because like
perfect.
the grin is so prominent when he has the natural makeup on.
Mhm.
When he has the white paint and like the I guess his normal look with the white paint and green hair, it blends better. But like when he's in like his flesh tone makeup, like that's when you really
Yeah.
see that it's like that wild grin.
Yeah. And then that beautiful makeup applying to like making it look seamless that it really was just like a part of his face was done so well
Yeah.
that it
Yeah,
just looks like that's
it
what he
was
looks
like,
like all the time. And those are just amazing.
yeah, it was very like there was definitely a science behind doing the white makeup and then putting the flesh tone and like okay he's gonna use this to dab it away, but it doesn't
Yeah.
fit the white makeup. Like yeah, it's like yeah, hats off to that guy for figuring out the
I
science behind that makeup
yeah, I
effect.
wonder if they caked him
Well,
with like flesh tone like
well, I
cover up or
usually
whatever.
love him
Like
like
cover
he,
up or some
if
shit.
he's just like wiping his face. I imagine that the white makeup is on whatever he's pulling his face with.
Or that, yeah,
But then it's
true.
more of a question of like when they pour when like what was it water is what spills on his face?
Is the what was it,
I forget.
wine or something?
Whatever spills on his
Yeah,
face, I forget. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is where I'm more questioning like how they layered the makeup. Like the spread across is easier to assume how they did it. But that's where like I feel like it sucks. Like most movies, they just didn't do a lot of behind the scenes like footage that we don't get to see. And these are the things that I want to watch
Mhm.
more and more. And I feel like now today's filmmakers, like especially with like I think both of our movies, we all spend a lot more time like behind the scenes and
Yeah.
things that like I'm proud of how we did these things. So like I want to show off how things were done. I want to show off the ruining our microwave to try to blow up a demon. Like those are parts of like our story. So I really it sucks to not see those things for some of our favorite movies. I
Yeah.
want to see those makeup effects. I want to see the failed attempts more than even the successful ones. I want to know how they got there.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah,
just, why I love them.
And especially with this kill in particular to kind of wrap it back around in the makeup thing of like showing how they did it, like how uncomfortable would it have been to have tubes up your arm that's feeding massive and massive amounts of smoke. Like I'm sure they had like rigs underneath of it and things like that to bring it up even more, but like as soon as he grabs that hand, it starts shaking and then the smoke starts
Well, to
feeding
be honest,
through.
who's to say that's even his real hand? It could have been a prop hand.
True, it could have been.
You know what I mean? For safety, depending on how they did it, it could have honestly been a prop hand with a pole
Yeah.
and like all tubes underneath. Like,
And
because who knows what they did for safety. They might not have wanted Jack Nicholson, especially with a starish Jack Nicholson. You
sorry,
don't,
Jack Nicholson.
you don't want to like, God forbid something goes haywire and you burn his hand. Like that's the end
Yeah,
of the
and
movie.
also I was reading he like dumped money into this movie.
That's awesome.
He invested into it because he like I was like scrubbing through, I found like one behind the scenes thing and they didn't really focus on the makeup, which I was kind of bummed about. Like they had like a snippet, but it wasn't enough to
Yeah.
like really hone in on. And I was like, oh, here's the section where they're talking about Jack Nicholson. And I love Jack Nicholson. I think he's a fantastic actor. He's one of my top favorite actors of all time. He
Same.
is a douche in this fucking interview. That like
I imagine he's always a douche.
he's sitting there, dude. He's like this, like all sprawled out on this chair, and
It's one
he
of those things that you just, as much as I'd love to meet him, like don't meet your heroes. Like
yeah.
I don't think I ever want to meet him because
But
it's gonna just ruin why I love him.
He made this comment. He's like, I don't think anyone knew how big this movie was gonna be. I knew how big this movie was gonna be. And like
I
he like
remember that interview. Yeah.
he like
Oh
dropped
my
all
God.
this money into it and made money from the box office.
I
And
mean,
the
good
so-
for him, like,
all
well,
merchandise.
I think
sales,
like
too,
he has a
like-
history
and
of,
merchandise,
like,
yeah.
he has a history of being in iconic movies. Like no one thought anything was gonna make of them back
Yeah.
then. I mean, so like was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest like his first movie or one of the
No,
earliest?
one of his earliest, but his first one was Little Shop of Horrors, I think.
I didn't think
Yeah.
so.
The original Roger Corman film. He was Bill Murray's character from the remake, the masochist as the dentist.
Oh no, I did see that
Yeah.
one. Yeah. So I mean, he's been in iconic. His entire
Oh, yeah.
career has been iconic movies. So
Yeah.
at some point, sure, you know to like just like get ahead of the game. It's kind of like people just knowing that one day Clorox would take off and just putting money.
Oh,
into
yeah,
that.
for
Like, some things
sure.
you just have to like take a gamble on, and everything has been in his favor, so it makes sense. I mean, the cockiness, I guess, comes with success.
No, absolutely. But
Also,
it, like,
proves further why he was perfect to play the Joker, because I think Tim Burton said like you don't even need a casting director to tell you that. It's almost like it's too perfect for him to play that role, because it's like everything, like the arrogance and like that's the Joker. He is like his biggest fan. Like,
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And I'm like, so we've talked about this all separately. I know I've talked to you, Jim, about it. I've talked to you about it. Saying I don't know if it was because of like exhaustion from work, but it just wasn't holding up. The dialogue was just like in the dumps. Like for me, it just seems so like especially like that opening scene when the robbers like rob the couple, and it's like, oh, like I'm worried about the bat. The bat. Oh, you worried about the bat? Like that banter back and forth was so cheesy.
Yeah, but it fits the mobster.
But you see,
I love it because of that.
Yeah, it's obnoxious and it fits it. I think it's fair to say that everyone has their version of Batman, and
No.
maybe this wasn't
Especially
yours.
with the guy especially the thug with the cigarette hanging out of his mouth. There ain't no bet. Like,
yeah. No, absolutely. But like I said, I think I was just exhausted because like revisiting like at least this scene alone and Nicholson talking and him giving like, have you ever heard of the healing power of laughter? And when he's mimicking his boss, like, Bob, you are my number one guy, like shit like that, like it resonated differently, like he's just so overacting that it's just like, okay, maybe it's not as bad as I remember. Maybe I was just like pissy that day for one fucking reason or another. So I like this makes me want to go back to the start again and kind of give it a fresh eye now that like I'll be awake and not half fucking dead from the day job kind of thing. Okay, with that being said, we're gonna move on. This kind of like round table around the room. Does everyone, starting with you, Jim, do you remember like what age you were when you first saw this movie and like first like saw that kill and how it like resonated with you?
I'm gonna say I was about 10 when I saw it for the first time. We rented it from the library actually on VHS, and I begged my mom to watch it, and they're like, I don't know, it's PG-13. She had seen it when it came out. She's like, oh, it's very dark and very violent. I'm like, yeah, but so's the animated series, and when it's the reason I wanted to be a filmmaker. Like that's why both the Tim Burton Batman movies are my number one favorite all time. Like that's like I want to do that. I want to be like Tim Burton. I want to make movies and these weird worlds and these strange characters. And the other question was, sorry to beep. When I saw that kill scene for the first time, like again, what I mentioned earlier, like seeing his flesh tone with the smile, like it was like, wait, why is he? What happened to his? Where's the white? Where's the red smile? It threw me off at first, and then when he like roasts the Cannatelli guy, it's like, oh shit, like his face like, getting red, which I guess was an optical effect, and then like
Yeah.
and then you just see this charred corpse just boom, it just slumps in the chair. Like I love that cuz it's just so like just harsh, like damn. And there's still like a little bit of smoke like off the corpse, which I thought, oh, that's such a great effect. But yeah, as a kid, my mom, again, I was like about 10. So my mom was being a guarding parent and kind of like try to cover my eyes, like, oh, it's dark, but I was just like peered through. I was like, oh, he's talking to a corpse. And again, I
So
was like,
funny, like the difference in parenting, because like my mom never covered my eyes for like violence. It was like nudity. I was like, oh my god, boobs. But yeah, watch this dude get his head cut off. Like it made no sense, like in that regard. Because like I want to say I was probably around maybe the same age as you, like 10, when I first saw it, that I can remember. I was young. I was a little kid. And my brothers were already obsessed with it. Like I have a good 10 and 9 year gap between me and my brothers.
same.
So yeah. So when they saw it, it was like new and they loved it. They loved it growing up. That was like their thing. And like to show it to me like younger, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like I don't remember how it was when I first saw the kill necessarily, but like I just remember seeing like I was like, oh, this is Batman. And then like following from Forever and Batman and Robin after that, I was like a kid, like, okay, these are like the Burton Schumacher movies are mine, just like what Jill said earlier.
Amen to that. Yeah.
Abigail, when's the last time? When did you see it for the first time? Since now you are joining
Abigail's joy.
the conversation.
Yeah, my dog's sitting right here. So
Ripley.
See, now I don't remember the first time I watched it, to be honest. I just feel like it's one of those things like I've just always loved Batman. I don't remember the first time I watched them. I feel like it's something my dad watched and I just kind of followed suit. But it's one of those things like most of my favorite movies like Back to the Future and Never on Elm Street and all these movies, I don't remember the first time I watched them. They just became so ingrained in me that I'm just like, of course, like I don't know a time not loving them. So it's weird. I don't know. Like it just was one of
It
my
was just
favorites.
there.
It was just
Yeah.
there. It was always
Yeah.
like Batman was always a part of my life in some way.
Hmm.
And I just loved them. But I think it's just, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
kind of how I enjoy things. It's just like when it just becomes so ingrained in who you are, you're like, well, obviously,
Yeah.
Batman.
No, that makes sense.
So I don't
Yeah.
know. Right, Abigail?
yeah,
Abigail
because
doesn't know
for
either.
me, yeah, that's how it was for me. Like too, like because I grew up with the animated series. I saw real early, real young.
Yeah, same.
So that was, I guess, my introduction to Batman as a whole. And every now and then there was reruns of the Adam West show, but it was like really scarce because that's before they got like released publicly.
Yeah, like before TV Land was like a thing and they would play it all the time.
Yeah,
I remember watching the Adam West one a lot growing up, but I never it didn't connect with me the same way that like this one did, because like I was like, oh yeah, it's Batman, and I remember enjoying the fact that it was like every villain, and I could never remember if it was a movie or just the show. But like now that I've gotten older, I can appreciate the Adam West Batman for what it was, and even that Joker, Cesar Romero, and how like he never shaved his mustache, and like that's where I think like King Diamond got his makeup thing was from, where like he just paints over the
Oh, it's
mustache.
perfect, yeah. We were talking about that before, of like the different versions of the Joker.
Yeah.
Like he just looks like someone that's going to show up at your kid's birthday party, probably drunk.
Oh
It's
yes.
like Jack Nicholson is just like completely like that's how I imagine he would be, right? So he's like a clown. And
Yeah.
Joker is like the mob, like this Jack Nicholson one is like mobster Joker.
Oh
And
yeah.
then Heath Ledger is like just like that guy that just got like crawled out of a dumpster
Yeah.
kind of Joker. And it's just like they're all just like perfect for how they are, but they can't exist in the same world next to
No.
each other.
Oh no. That
that's
multiverse would break.
oh hell yeah, that would be insane. uh, that's my problem with the new joke. Not Joaquin Phoenix, I like what he did, but the new kid who's in the Matt Reeves movie. He had like a brief scene at the end, but
Oh, in
I just
the
don't
Bat,
know.
we didn't finish the new Batman yet.
okay, well, spoiler.
No, I heard he's like already, and he's like in the end credits, like the post credits thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his
This is fine.
the way he looks and like the way he was talking about, you know, it seemed like they were just. It seemed like a rip off of Heath Ledger's Joker to me, at least. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
That's kind of where I see like everything going, or everything has gone to like a Heath Ledger kind of thing. Which
Yeah.
now, we can talk about this because it's all relevant. So when Heath Ledger died, people went to Jack Nicholson and was like, "You played the Joker. You could have given him a warning," and blah blah blah. And I think Nicholson said, he's like, I told the kid, like, it's a dark role. Like, I think what Nicholson was just saying, he's like, but no one took it as he was going to go as far as he did. But I also think, too, like, now I don't want to be quoted on this because I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like that there was things taken from that movie that people were saying, like, as soon as cut was called, Heath went like back to being Heath. Like, he wasn't that method to where he's like, I'm this person while I'm on
I
set.
think most people aren't that method. I think
No,
it's just
but that's what everyone said. They're like, oh, the Joker drove him to kill himself. I was like, no, it's addiction drove him to kill himself. And
Yeah,
to,
that was
to
if
the,
just
anything, it's probably
that was
work
all
schedule.
blown
that
up.
too, yeah.
That was all blown out of the media because two people like came who worked with Heath like disproved all that. Michael J. White, who was in The Dark Knight, played
Yeah.
the mob boss, and he was like, "Look, dude, when Nolan yelled cut, he was Heath. He was his regular accent, and talking about his daughter and making joke, like not Joker jokes, but he's like he wasn't the role didn't kill him. And the second guy was Terry Gilliam, who directed Heath in his last movie, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Oh, yeah.
And he did that right after doing The Dark Knight. And Terry Gilliam was like, no, the Joker role did not kill him. Like, come on. He's like, that drives me all blah, blah, blah.
But
Like,
I feel like people wanted it to be true because they want to live in that universe where it's so dark and it's going to take over. And
Yeah.
it doesn't take away that he did a great job. But will I say he was the best Joker? No. I think most people, when they die, they, become like the greatest thing in the world. And it's like, no, it wasn't his greatest performance. It was good, but it's not exactly what I mean. Also, like,
I would say, like, Nirvana's not as great as everyone says that they are.
no one would give a shit about Nirvana if Kurt didn't die. But that's part of the game. So I feel like it's unfortunate that he died. I don't think the two were overlapped. Now it's also like, I mean, Batman just has a lot of dark connections of the,
Oh,
the
yeah.
movie theater shooting and
Yeah.
just,
I
and
forgot
that
about
could have
that.
also been any movie,
Yeah.
and that's what scared me the most was when that happened. So I'm like, that would have been us at a midnight showing of Batman would absolutely be us
Yeah.
going to see that. And it's like, it doesn't matter what the movie was or what it was. This person was sick and something else happened, and it just so happened to be the last thing that you just connect to.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I will always remember Heath for 10 Things I Hate About You personally.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
that tracks.
That's because he's wonderful and I love it. And that's my version of him that I always remember. Like, yeah, Batman's great. But 10 Things I Hate About You. And that is that. But yeah.
All right, let's move away from Heath. We all know that story. We're here to talk Jack Nicholson, Joker.
I mean,
And
has Jack talked about the impact of playing Joker, like on his, because he's pretty much always kind of played like
he's
wild,
always kind of played
kinda
that
like
guy that
roles
I
and-
don't, not that I'm aware of that he's ever spoken about it and about how has it affected him. Because I don't think it did. I think it was just Tuesday for him. Because
yeah.
like especially with how he was in like The Shining. Like he just always played that menacing.
So they didn't do Shelley Duvall to him.
No, they did not Shelley
They were
Duvall
nice to him.
Nicholson, which I will go on record saying, like, fuck you, Kubrick. I'm glad you're dead. You ruined this poor woman's life that
Yes.
did not deserve it. Just for your artistic thing. And you know what? And like
But that would be more of a version of like method acting. Like when they all talk about, I'm sorry, like when they talk about like Heath Ledger and this death, but I'm like, but we're not going to talk about Shelley Duvall and like what
Yeah.
actually happened to her, like
Or-
what was driven to her,
or
like,
even the
it's-
same thing of just
No,
what were you saying,
no.
Tim?
Oh, so yeah, with Shelley Duvall, it's always pissed me off when Stephen King would shit on her performance. It's like, dude, she gave it her all, and the shit she had to do. I mean,
I
today,
just don't think he liked it at all. So he's just going to nitpick,
yeah,
you
obviously.
know?
If Kubrick did what he did to Shelley Duvall today, oh, he'd be fired like, oh, holy
Oh
shit.
yeah. Well, it's even like I guess I should state this too. The day that we're recording, August 10th, William Friedkin just recently passed. And Friedkin was no fucking saint on set either. Like when he was getting reactions for The Exorcist, he was shooting guns next to people's ears
Yeah.
to get a genuine
that-
jump scare.
But that was also like old Hollywood. I mean,
Oh, it
what
totally
they've
is.
done on like Wizard of Oz and Shirley
Yeah.
Temple, and like
I-
what they did to people was ridiculous. But it's like you have to believe that an actor can act.
Yes.
So you don't have to put them in a situation for them to act like they're in the situation,
Exactly.
and it's okay to
And-
let them do their job.
And it's like, I'm not going to factor it as a different time. Absolutely. It's a completely different time. I believe
But
that
how
as
do you not believe that actors could act?
I don't think they acted well enough for the person, which we can rope it back around to Jack Nicholson. That when I kind of scrubbed through that little mini doc, they were saying that like Nicholson was like perfect, like what Jim said earlier, like perfect. Like you need it Jack to be Jack in that
Yeah,
role.
basically.
That he did not need that much direction
Well,
for
that
what it
just comes
was.
on good casting then.
Absolutely.
Of just being aware of who you want.
Absolutely. There wasn't much of an effect that really happened. Like we kind of talked a little bit about it, to where it was the handshake, you got the tubes of smoke that were going out, the rotoscoping or digital effect on top of the actor to kind of turn him red. That like I believe they could have done like Universal Wolfman style, where I feel like they could have slowly applied makeup on
It
him.
wasn't important
It
enough.
was not important enough, exactly. That they digitally
Mm.
enhanced his face to be red, to be kind of burning, and then in the next cut, he is just a fucking prop skeleton in a
Yeah.
suit with smoke. That led to probably one of my all-time favorite shots in the flip, when it's like super close and it does that pull back zoom, like that fucking Raimi zoom that I love so much, and
Yes.
like revealing the full table and the skeleton. I was the only thing I was mad about that clip when they revealed that it was the skeleton. I think they wanted to hide that it was a fake skeleton so bad that they cut it so quick and that wide. Like it went completely out to Jack blowing on his hand on the hand
Yeah.
buzzer. So yeah, as far as the effect itself goes, not much went into it, but it was a fun gag. It was really effective. I'd say, like, with it being the topic of today's episode, it was highly effective to everyone around it, that it was completely memorable. So I want to bring this around to just like final thoughts on the actual kill itself, and like, no, fuck it. Let's do a 1 to 5 scale of how much it like affected like a psyche and everything like that. Like, how would you rate this kill? Like, if you were to go into it fresh today, like, what rating would you give it of seeing it like with a fresh eye today, Jim?
I'd probably put it at a 5, like 5 being like the best, I assume. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say a solid 5 because yeah,
Okay.
like like for all the reasons I stated earlier. Like, if you're a comic book fan, like it captures everything that's the Joker, but also like everything you said of like you guys said about how the effect was pulled off, and just and the aftermath that he's just talking to this dead corpse.
Yeah. I'm glad you're dead.
Yeah.
What would you rate it? Like, if you were to look at it
Yeah.
like fresh today, what would you rate
I
it?
mean, I feel like I'd probably go like a 4 just because I wish they would have spent more time on the effects of it. But I love it. I mean, it fits the movie perfectly. It fits his style of killing. It fits the tone. Everything was perfect. I just wanted more of it.
Right.
Fair.
So it's just like I feel like when we talked about before, like a lot of the kills that we're going to cover in the series are just such quick moments,
Mm,
and there's not a lot of buildup, and it's like a quick thing, and then he's just like he's dead. But like,
yeah.
okay, like I just want more of that. Like, because like you said, like when they zoom out real quick, because they just realize that like who gives a shit? We all know it's a
Yeah.
mannequin. That
Yeah.
doesn't take away from me. Like I want you to just play into it. If you're gonna have it look like that, then just like enjoy it. And even if you laughed at it, it still would have fit the entire universe. I feel like they kind of hit it, and that's what took away from me a little bit.
True.
So
Yeah, I think I would be up there too with about a 4. If you would have asked me like last month when I watched it, I would have given it a 2. But like,
that's
re-
the thing. It
So
depends
far
on
at
the
that
age, right? Like
point.
if I was a kid watching it, I would have like it would have lost
well,
my
yeah,
mind.
well,
But
like if I were to go into it with fresh eyes, like yeah, like definitely like a 4, like now, because like it's so fun, it's so wacky, and like there's nothing more Joker-esque than that.
mm,
Because like like other kills that he did in the thing, like he slit the dude's throat with the pen, like, oh, the pen is mightier than the sword, and it's like, okay, like that's fine, but like this was like Joker on Joker kind of thing. Like this was like him being that clown of like, oh, I'm gonna shake your hand, I zapped you, haha, now you're dead, like,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it just fits it like
Well, I feel like
so
my
well.
my favorite kill, I think, from the entire movie, from this movie, was just Joker at the end, just dead, and the laughing on repeat.
Yeah.
It's probably just my favorite because you hear it a little bit in the scene we're talking about, and that's just my favorite laugh of the Joker. It's just iconic. So when you hear it at the very end, it's almost like a foreshadowing to what's to come, and just
Yeah.
that repeating where it's not. It's almost like you have to question, like, was it a sound effect in his jacket? Like, why is it on repeat? Like, what is this guy? Like, the
Oh
whole
yeah.
movie is like making this idea that he's not human or
Mhm.
something happened to him. So we play into the idea of the makeup changing and what really is the mask. But then when he dies and just that laugh is on repeat, but we don't see where the laugh is coming from and he's clearly dead. It's just like my
Yeah,
absolute favorite thing.
that's fair. I kind of always thought it was just, I always thought it was him.
That he
Like,
was just still
that he
laughing?
was just
Well, they
laughing.
leave it like kind of open to interpretation where he's supposed to be dead. 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't see his chest moving, you don't see him
No, and
making a
there
gesture,
was
but
there
it's
was
like
no like recorder or anything
no, but
next
it
to
can
him, right?
imply like that it was like a almost like a whatever, you know,
Like,
the different tricks that a magician would have.
Gordon, like he
Joker
pulls
would
out
have.
a little green bag from his jacket, and I guess I don't know if there's a recorder in the little green bag or something, but yeah,
I think it's like one of those
I don't
things
know.
that
I
kind
thought it
of
was
like
just him.
well, I think it was to me it was just him, but
I
it
could
was
be
just
wrong.
like playing into like because the buzzer's in his hand, but it almost the way that it's in his hand feels like it's like imprinted in his hand
Hmm.
when we see it. So everything about it just makes it seem like he's not natural.
Yeah,
Like he is the joke. The
true.
Joker is the joke. So like with him dying at the very end and like the laughing, like you don't see where it's coming from. There's no like voice box that they step on and then it stops. And there's
True.
no like
Yeah.
you don't see him put the buzzer away when he's
There's no cue.
like there's nothing he doesn't put the buzzer away. It's just not used again. So
Yeah.
to me it just feels like these are all a part of who he is as
True.
they've kind of like morphed into him.
that's a good theory.
So,
That's really cool. I never
I've
heard
watched
that.
it too many times.
Right? Yeah, same. I
I've
also
watched it
thought,
too many
like,
times, and I'm gonna go watch it again when we're done
of
because I
all
love
the
it.
people he killed, though, like I often thought, like what he did to the girlfriend Alicia, because you see, like her
Mhm.
face is like,
But yeah, he mangled her
Yeah, it's pretty
face.
fucked up,
Yeah.
but that's
and it's
perfect.
like, oh shit. And then like he visits Vicky and Bruce, and all he has is Alicia's broken porcelain doll mask, and he just
I love it.
Yeah.
fell out of the window. And you're like, did she fall, or did you like pull a Max Shrek and push her out the
Yeah.
I found yourself a new flame, and it ain't you.
Well, isn't that the idea, right? That's like you, in theory, the Joker's supposed to be like a type of clown. So you're supposed to laugh at a clown. And in
Yeah.
this case, he's now taking that power back, and it's almost dangerous to laugh at the clown.
But also, like, it's kind of interesting too because like they didn't build any backstory up to him besides just being this mobster.
Mm.
The only thing that I can recall that they gave him was like, oh, don't forget your lucky deck, and he throws the cards in the hat. And it's just like, but there was no other reference of him being like a clown. Because I think Jim, you would know better than I would that at this point, Killing Joke was already like out. Like Alan Moore's Killing Joke was already out. And
Oh
in
yeah,
that comic, you have an established background for the Joker as a failed entertainer, getting roped into being the Red Hood, and then falling into the acid and becoming the Joker that we all
it
know.
was, yeah, it was definitely already made before the movie, because when Tim Burton was hired, he read that comic, and Hell's quotes on the cover when they reprint it saying, "This is the first comic book I ever loved," because he loved the style and how it visually told the story. You didn't have to read the word bubbles; you can just tell by the panels of
Oh
what's.
yeah, yeah.
And he apparently told like his cinematographer, like, "This is what I want it to look like," which was
Okay.
Roger Pratt was the DP on Batman, who he filmed a lot of Monty Python stuff. So it's like, hey, Monty Python connection to Batman.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like in that comic at least, there was already an established background that they didn't pull over to the movie. So like it makes sense that we went into the chemicals, it mangled his brain and painted his face and hair and turned him into this clown that we all know. But like it is funny how there was no other clown establishment for him of being like a trickster other than like your lucky deck kind of thing, you know?
Well, I think that kind of just comes with knowing the universe. Like after a while, like we know what these characters, we know their backstory. I feel like sometimes it's just wasting time to go back in and
No, true.
reestablish. Like some, it depends on if it's really important or not. And I don't think it was really relevant in this.
No, it definitely
We
was
didn't
not.
really
Not
need to know.
So I think no, you're absolutely right. We didn't need to know it because what it came full circle to be was that Joker killed Batman's parents, and that's what they wanted it to.
Mhm.
That was the main hook that they wanted to get with it was that he was the one that shot Thomas and Martha Wayne.
He created Batman.
He created Batman. Batman created the Joker, and that they have this intertwined relationship that neither of them can destroy each other because they cannot live without each other.
Mhm.
It's a weird bromance that Bat Joker has.
Yeah.
And which also like goes into the ending of Killing Joke. Spoiler alert for anyone who didn't fucking read it. Like when like they're about to like go off of the roof and it's like, did Batman kill Joker or not? It just ends with Batman holding Joker and them just laughing together, and you don't know, did he throw him off? Did he keep him? It's so ambiguous. But to wrap things up completely of things like that, I want to thank Jim. I want to thank you for coming on with us and talking Batman and kills and just film in general. You're a very knowledgeable person when it comes to cinema as a whole, so it's always cool to be able to
Yeah.
talk and broaden knowledge on these types of subjects with you. I want to thank people for watching. If you did, great. And where can people follow your movies and follow you just so they can kind of keep up with X Night and everything, Jim?
So yeah, so I'm on Instagram under X Night Comics and spelled well X and then Night as in with a K, like Dark Knight. On Instagram it's under X Night Comics and it's a black and white X logo. We're also on YouTube under X Night Productions, and yeah, our feature film X Night Escape from Warpel is now streaming on Tubi or Tubi, as I like to say. 'Cause- and also our short X Night films on there as well, and other projects. Doing actually, we'll be doing a mini series called Cinephere, which is a anthology on YouTube of collection of short horror stories, but also mystery dramas as well. And I'm working on the first episode called Yesteryears.
Yeah, you can follow a lot of our stuff at Jerks Productions, and you have a baking business.
Yes, I do. Yeah, so in addition to making horror movies, I also run a bakery, vegan, gluten-free, and traditional confections. Instagram and Facebook, everything can be found under 8213 Desserts.
Cool. And all my stuff's under the Jerks Productions things. And yeah, so thank you guys again for watching and enjoying. I hope you guys are enjoying this brand new series that we have going on right now. And we will catch you in 2 weeks with a new episode to follow up on this one. So everybody have a good night. We'll catch you all soon.
Bye.